Hey, what's going on? It's Matt, and today I want to give an update on Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. Been trying to do a live video for each chapter, but Chapter 2 is a smaller one. It's not as in-depth as Chapter 3. So before I do that, if you're interested in being notified when everything is going live, I'm going to be having a webinar. It'll probably be about 4 or 5 weeks. I'll be having some first releases of the book, be having some things announced like that, the membership site that goes along with it, all that good stuff. You can private message the page, the word, all one word, new book, NEWBOOK. You'll get notified as soon as I have more information. So get on to this, Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. Chapter 2 is on building a cult following, on building something that makes you stand out. And one thing we're going to cover in there are items that businesses I've worked with, businesses I've run into in the past have done to stand out. Like, Biker Jim in Denver, Colorado with his unique gourmet, I call them hot dogs, with their sausages, reindeer dog, rattlesnake dog, like the Wileys have done with the beer wall at the Rapid Fired Pizza in Bowling Green, like Tom and his team at GameWorks have done with their unique milkshakes. It all comes down to whether it's a unique experience, like at a Quaker Steak and Lube where they've got the really cool setting, the atmosphere, or whether it's the product or whether it's the service. And we're going to talk about some of those things there. But the third chapter is one I'm really excited about because it's the meat of the book. And what we're doing is we're talking about the 8 items, because the book's going to be 14 chapters, of which 8 of the chapters are 8 specific techniques that you can use to put butts in the seats, the name of the book. More importantly, you can use to create a radio station, your radio station, to broadcast your message. Now, what's going to be unique about this book, more than the ROI Engine, this book, my first book, the ROI Engine, is almost a chapter in this new book. And this new book is actually a lot more relatable to other industries. The ROI Engine, we've got people using it for all sorts of stuff. This book, you're going to be able to look at 8 different ways to market. And there's going to be tips and tricks and modules and downloads, all that cool stuff behind it. But the book's going to be awesome, and it's going to have real live interviews in each chapter where they're transcribed. They'll link to the live interview online, and then they'll have downloads, all that good stuff. But the 8 elements that I talk about in Chapter 3, and I'll list them off. Number 1, social media. I'll come back to them and give a quick synopsis. Number 2, video marketing. Number 3, retargeted marketing, retargeting, video remarketing, things of that nature. 4, email marketing. 5, text marketing. 6, Facebook Messenger. 7, in-store marketing. And 8, last but not least, grassroots and community marketing. So when you think about social media, and it's kind of funny because this happened today. Today, I shared a post on Facebook that a friend and a client is opening up a Guthrie's Chicken in Fort Wright. Casey Atkinson, my business partner at the gym, saw that post. Guess where Casey went to lunch? He went to Guthrie's. He saw it and was like, oh, that sounds good. He went there to one of the other locations near us. So when I think back to social media, and I think back to 20 years ago, the impact consumers could have on an audience was nowhere close to what it is now. 10 years ago, let's just say 20 years ago, even 10 years ago to some extent, but 20 years ago, major. 1999, when I was in radio, if I would have had a friend of mine call me and tell me he was opening a restaurant, my impact immediately was a few people. A couple guys in the office, maybe I yell over Doug Smith, Jimmy LaBarbera. Hey guys, guess what's happening? Because they were working with me in radio. Maybe I tell one of the secretaries, she sends an email out to the office, who knows? But the impact is not huge. It's 5, 10, 15, 20. Nowadays, I get on Facebook and I announce that. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, the impact is global. I literally, with a click of a button, can reach 20, 30,000 people like that. I can do a live video. I had a video I did live at the Columbus Restaurant Show, what they call it, Mid-America Restaurant Show in Columbus on Sunday. With a few $100, by the next day it had 4,000 views. I had people walking up to me that had seen it. Even without any money, it was at 800 views. And so the impact is far, far greater now as consumers have, but also businesses have as well. So That's what you got to think about with social media. We're going to dig into that. The other aspect of that is how deep you can go with regards to social media. It used to be 20 years ago, you buy advertising and you get a radio station, WGRR, where I started my career at. Amazing station, still listen to it, still love it. There's a lot of guesstimates. Who's listening? Are they married? Are they single? There's a lot of ballparks. Like, most people don't realize this. Most radio and media stats are based off of a few thousand surveys. So when you got a radio station that's got 250,000 listeners, and they're saying they have, they say they have 250,000, that's based off of 2,000 surveys, if they're lucky. Media, social media, we know. Everybody's profile, this business profile, my personal profile, your personal profile, is made up of 100,000 plus metrics. Where you were today, where you were yesterday, who you're related to, who you're married to, your kids, what you ate, what you commented on, what you liked, your credit report, what you've bought, all sorts of things. Now, the beauty of that is for businesses, it allows you to find a very specific person. If you're having a family night at your restaurant, there's no use in telling everybody that a radio station reaches. Why not do a Facebook ad and reach women with kids that are 35 to 45 that live in your zip code? So that's in that chapter. Next, we talk about video marketing. This is what's powerful. This video right here costs me nothing. If you're not doing videos like this daily for your business, you're losing out. If you're a restaurant and you're not using video for your restaurant, you're losing out. If you're any business, honestly, my dad's watching right now. When I grew up, my dad was known as the video guy, whether it was the class play, the football games, the basketball games. Why? Because he was one of the few people that had the expensive video camera. Dad, if you're watching and you comment on the Facebook Live as I'm doing this, how much you spent on your video camera back in the 80s? I'm going to guess it wasn't $500. It was probably thousands of dollars. Nowadays, you got a video camera in your palm, and you don't have to edit as much. You can edit on your phone. You can do so much on your phone. It's unbelievable. And so video marketing has been taken to a new level with social media, and it's put it right in the hands of not only the consumers who can do stuff for you, but also in the hands of the business owner to let you become a content creator. So we're going to go real in depth there. And I got some great modules for that. Can't wait to show that chapter off. Next part is retargeting. I want you to think about this. Super Bowl's in a few weeks. After I'm videotaping this in January, I think in 2.5, 3 weeks, the Super Bowl. I'm sitting on the sofa and I'm watching the Super Bowl. And I look over at my wife and I see a commercial for Rapid Fired Pizza. And I look at my wife and say, wow, I love their pizza. We ought to go there sometime. We ought to go there next week. We ought to go there tonight. That's a conversation that happens. You don't know what happened. You don't have a clue the extent that it happened. You don't know if they did anything after that action. Big difference of what I just talked about with videos is I can run this video right here on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else down the road, it was shot live originally on Facebook. I can retarget the people who are watching this video, who watched a certain portion of this video. So this video ends up being 10 minutes, and I want to retarget to people who watched 5 minutes of it. I can go back, build an audience, and target just those people. Let's say this is a rapid-fired commercial. This is a beer commercial, a pizza commercial. Let's say it's a picture. It's a picture with a link. I can retarget people who clicked that link, who went to Messenger from that ad, if it was a Messenger ad like we do a lot with. If it was a video, I can retarget them from if they watched it for 10 seconds, 20, 30, whatever. That's huge. So we're going to have a chapter on remarketing. Retargeting, remarketing, there's a lot of names for it. Email marketing. You know it, you like it, you trust it. It's been around since, I guess, when Al Gore created the internet in the 80s. But it's been around hardcore for about 25 years. And it's still here. It's not as effective as it was 20 years ago because people like me and businesses like you ruined it. We sent too much stuff. We did it wrong. But it still works. It can work better if you're really good at it and you study the analytics. So we're going to go into that. Text marketing is a medium that I'll admit I don't use enough. And one of the reasons I don't use enough because it's a very delicate one because it's very intrusive. If you're going to send a text message to somebody, you better have your stuff right. And a lot of times we've avoided it, one, because of the cost, but two, because of that reason. We're actually moving more into it this next 12 months with some of our clients. But I'll give you an example of how not to use it. A business that I won't name sent a text message out. We worked with them. They sent their corporate office sent a text message out about 2 years ago. And it was on a Saturday. I'll never forget it. So on a Saturday, it was, I guess, it was opening day in the NBA season. Well, they sent out an email or text message to their entire database, like 6,000 people. And it went out to the entire database, and it was about the NBA season opening up. And I'm thinking, one, the entire database doesn't care about the NBA season opening up. We're in Cincinnati. Very few people care about the NBA to begin with. And the day that nobody really cares about is opening day. They've already watched some preseason games. The NBA is a playoff time. People don't get thrown up and involved in the NBA, especially a market like Cincinnati. So we're going to talk about the correct ways to use text messaging. Facebook Messenger is the next chapter. Huge item. It is email and text combined from 20 years ago. Lots of opportunity. You've already seen and heard me talk about that until I'm blue in the face. Won't go into that, but there's going to be a great chapter on Facebook Messenger. And that's actually going to be similar to this. We're going to have a lot about the ROI engine in that chapter and some case studies. Next, in-store marketing. I want you to think about it. What is the hardest part of marketing? It is getting people from an advertisement to come into your business and spend money. So when they walk into your business, doesn't it make sense to find out who the heck they are? Their name, their email, their their text number, their messenger subscription. Get their information so you can invite them back. So we're going to cover in this chapter a lot of unique ways companies are gaining data from customers so they can bring them back more often. A great example for me was this past weekend. My wife and my kids and I went to Walt's Hitching Post, a restaurant we love in Northern Kentucky. We don't go there often enough. You know why? They don't invite us. And I don't mean that in a bad manner, like they don't want us to come. It's they don't have my information to invite me. And trust me, I would go more often. We only went there this time because we were on the road they were located. And when we talked about getting dinner, I said, let's go to Walt's. We're right here. So we went there. About every 6 months, my dad will call me, and there's a reason, whether it's his birthday or his anniversary with my mom, and he's calling me for one reason to remind me of it. And so I'll go, you want to go to Walt's? And he goes, heck yeah. So we go to Walt's. Imagine if Walt's had my information, because I've come into the restaurant numerous times. They could have easily asked me for it, got me engaged, and invited me back more often. So we're going to talk about in-store marketing, 4 walls, how to get those people. And last but not least, one that is just dying by the wayside, and it really crushes me because people have gotten lazy and they think they can do this with social media, grassroots and community marketing. Where I live right now, where I'm at my home office, about a mile away from me is Ryle High School, Gray Middle School, and there's an elementary school there. I think it's called Shirley Mann or something like that, but there's 3 schools. 2,000 plus students on a football night. There's, it could be 1,000, 1,500 people there. There's basketball, band, all that kind of stuff. About a mile from that are a couple restaurants. One of those restaurants in particular, I have never seen market at a sporting event at this school, anything around it. That is a low-hanging fruit. Not only one, would we come to their restaurant before and after sporting events, but 2, we would be more inclined to support them because they support what our kids are doing. They don't do it. It's dying it's going by the wayside. A lot of businesses are getting lazy and not going out in their communities, and that's where it starts, is getting out, shaking hands, kissing babies. I saw the great example of it the other day. A guy that I know named Bill that owns a few restaurants, a Witt's Ice Cream, a Donato's, and soon to be a Guthrie's, one I mentioned earlier. He's always out in the community. He's always doing things at events. He's got a banner at the football field down the street at the Boone County Pee Wee League. He's always doing things, and that drives business. Makes him top of mind, also puts him in people's hearts a little differently than just somebody coming to your pocketbook. So that's chapter 2, that's chapter 3. Chapter 4 will be the next one we do. It'll be probably 3 or 4 days. It's going to be on how to measure your marketing efforts. What you're doing is no good if you don't have a way to measure it. And this is what really pains me, because I had a conversation the other day with an agency. They were really hardcore questioning some of the stuff we do, which is fine. The stats on the marketing, on the social media, the redemptions, the opt-ins, all that stuff. I love it. But they're not having this conversation with their radio rep. The radio rep doesn't know. But yet they, sometimes businesses have this mindset that they do what they've always done. We'll spend $5,000 on radio because all these people are going to hear it and it's going to do this, this, and this. You don't know. So we're going to talk about measuring your marketing efforts and what you can do to get to that point. That's the next chapter. It's the next video. Like I mentioned earlier, new book. Message the page, the keyword NEWBOOK. One word, new book. If you send a message to this page you're watching this on, or if you're on somewhere else, go to my Facebook page, Matt Plapp. It's got me sticking my tongue out like this. Actually, I'll show you the picture. Hold on. There it is. That's my profile picture on it. It's my business page, Matt Plapp. It's a public figure page. It is not a friend page. The URL is facebook.com/therealmattplapp, only because the regular Matt Plapp is my personal page. Message that page, new book. You'll be on a waiting list. You'll be the first to know when the book comes out. You'll be the first to know about the site that's going to go along with it. Exciting things. See you around.